Hey second grade, welcome to your next continent project. Today I'm going to be showing you how to weave. So some of you may have done this before, but for some of you this may be a new thing. Weaving is a really popular craft done in a lot of South American countries. Specifically, it's famous in Peru and Bolivia, where they make a lot of brightly colored woven patterns and fabrics to create clothes, blankets, purses, and all kinds of different things. Typically, they would be using yarn, some kind of fabric, but I'm going to show you how to do it with paper today. If you want to try it out with yarn and you want to try to learn how to weave a blanket, that'd be really cool and I'd love to see it. But we're going to start off with the basics. So for this project, you will want 2 different colors of paper, white paper and a colored paper, or 2 colored papers, a pair of scissors, and you don't necessarily need it, but tape or glue is helpful, okay? So let me show you how to get started. So to get started, we're going to be making the base of how we're going to weave our paper. You want to take one of your papers and fold it. This is called the hamburger fold, okay? You don't want a really skinny paper. You want a nice big rectangle. So fold this and crease it just like this, okay? Now you want to find the middle of the paper, not the open side, the middle, and you're going to be cutting about 1 inch from each other. If it helps you, you could take a marker and you could draw marks to show you where to cut. So something like this could be helpful for you, okay? So I'm going to start cutting here, going straight up, but about 1 inch from the top, I'm going to stop. I'm going to cut on my next line, stop, next one, stop. See how I have 3 so far, and see how they are folded. Okay, last week you did cutting similar to this when you did your paper lanterns. So this is a little different. It's going almost the entire length of your paper. Okay, so I'm going to keep going, cutting at each of my points the whole way across. It is super important you do not cut the whole way to the top. If you do, by mistake, you can take a piece of tape and fix that, okay? So now that I finished this, I'm going to open this up, and this is where I'm going to be doing my weaving. But I need paper to actually weave. So this is where my second piece of paper comes in. I'm going to be cutting this paper in strips the entire way. There's 2 ways you could do this. Way number 1, you could just cut each strip piece by piece, like this. You also want these to be about 1 inch wide as well. Or if you want to make it a little faster, here's a trick. Fold your paper in half, and then when you cut, instead of just cutting 1, you are now cutting 2. So I'm going to continue cutting my paper strips just like this. Okay. Now, if you did that, when you get to the end, you will find that you have 1 large piece like this. You actually will not need this large piece because we will not be weaving the whole way to the ends of our paper. Okay, so now let me show you how to weave it. So as you can see here, I have my paper with the slits in it, and I have my strips of paper. This is where I'm going to be starting here. I'm going to be starting at the top, closest to me, and I'm going to start putting it through. And I want to put it through every other. So my first space I go under, now I go on top, under, on top, under. It might get a little tricky, so you might have to use your fingers to really help you guide it. You could also try to lift up the strip to help you go over and under. You want to create a pattern just like this. And then you want to slide it as far over to the edge as you can. This is where you might want your glue or your tape, because what you can do, if you take a little bit of glue and put it under the edge on the top and the bottom, this will help hold it in place so it doesn't slide out as you start putting on your next pieces. Okay? You could also just put a piece of tape there. The next most important thing is when you do the next one, you need to do the opposite way. So instead of starting on top here, I'm going to start underneath, like this, okay? Then I'm going to go under, over, under, over, okay? Now see, if I slide this next to it, see how it is opposite of the last one I did. That is very important for weaving because that is what makes the paper strong. Or if you're putting fabric together and you're sewing, that is what keeps it together. Now, my goal is to slide this as close as possible to my last piece, which can sometimes be a little tricky. Sometimes you gotta work with it a little bit and have a little bit of patience. But see how it's pretty close? Okay? Now, I could put a little glue on the back. I'm gonna show you how to do the tape. With the tape, I just take a little piece and I put it at the edge and I fold it over to the back and then it keeps it still. Do it on this side as well. Take a little piece at the edge and fold it over the back. Okay? Now I'm ready to do my next one. Again, I need to do it the opposite way. So this is going to be the same as my first one. So I start on top and then I go under. It can get a little tricky, guys. This is a project of patience, but it looks really cool when you're done. It looks like a checkered or a chessboard or a tile floor, okay? So something really easy to do by mistake, let me show you, is to do 2 in a row, like this. If you do that, when you go to slide it over, you will notice, uh-oh, these two touch. Not a good sign. You don't want the 2 colored squares to touch. You want them to be opposite. So that's when you can fix it and go the correct way, okay? So, I finished this section here. I'm going to finish the rest of this. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's finished. Okay guys, so I have finished my weaving. I want to let you know a couple really important things. When you get to the end, you might not have quite enough space to do another one, so that's totally okay if you just have a slightly larger space, okay? This is your weaving. Weaving is really good for your fine motor skills because it has you using your fingers to do small, intricate things, okay? So this is what you have. Another option you have is to use multiple different colors of paper. You could also draw a picture on your paper before you cut it apart and it'll make it look really cool as you weave it together. So I hope you enjoy this project. It is a slightly challenging one, but it is a really cool one and it's great for learning. Have fun!